Welcome to CO2 T20 220 Unit 1 Part 1 ACC 1 through 30. This is a basic introduction to the text as well as how the text interacts with what you're required. You'll notice in my particular case I'm supposed to open up Access 2013. I'm doing it through the Microsoft Office and then Access 2013. That actually brings it up in a side-by-side. I have my text to my right so you can read it, look at it, follow, as well as the actual program on the left. I'm actually going through and paying attention to the part of the text that's actually highlighted in pink. That gives me an idea of my steps. You'll notice I've actually downloaded my Access 1 data files themselves. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my blank desktop database. That brings up this dialog box. I'm going to call that Chatham. I'm going to browse and put that on my desktop. Desktop, Chatham, excellent. I'm going to push OK. Once I know where it is and I know what it's called, I'm going to go ahead and push Create. That creates a blank database with only one object called Table 1. You'll see the objects off to the left. There's an ID field as well as a click to add if I want to add more information. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to define the different elements in the table itself. The visit ID, the patient ID, the date, the visit date, the reason, and whether or not it was a walk-in. In my particular, the first one, it's going to be, I'm going to rename my field. I'm going to call it Visit ID, Visit ID. Then I'm going to click within the field and I'm going to rename it from, I'm going to change it from a data type of auto number to a short text. So I have to be clicked within it. And then in the table tools, in the fields tab, under formatting, I down drop arrow, I choose short text. That is going to define the type of information or data that it's contained. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the next field and I'm going to just simply click the short text add field and add delete short text. That adds it in and it calls it field 1. I'm going to call it patient ID, patient ID. Once I've named it patient ID, and then we're going to add another one that's going to be my date time field. Now what's interesting is I'm purposely choosing the wrong field to add it. I clicked on visit ID, I choose date ID. You'll notice it adds it in between visit ID and patient ID. If I want it to the right of patient ID, I click on it, left click and hold, drag it over. That allows me to change it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename the field. I'm going to rename the field with my date time, right? So it's visit date is what it's going to be called, visit date. Very good. And now I'm going to add it a different way. I'm going to use my click to add and then choose the data type. So in my particular case, it's going to be short text. I'm going to rename it with reason. So I call it reason. There we go. And then my next one is going to be a walk-in. So I'm going to hit my yes, no. Now what's interesting about the yes, no, it has a little checkbox that indicates whether or not it's a yes, no field. If it's checked, if it's a walk-in. If it's not checked, it's not. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at all the records that we can possibly add. All the records we can possibly add in are at the bottom of this page. I'm going to type in the very first record, which it walks you through typing in the first record. So it types in, visit ID. And then I put in my patient ID. Very good, there's my patient ID. And then I put in my visit date, which is right there. Now I could actually use a calendar to choose it, but I'm not going to worry about that this time. I'm going to go ahead and push in the reason, which is influenza. And then whether or not it's a walk-in. In my particular case, it is. Now, rather than sit there and watch you or let you watch me type in all this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video momentarily, and I'm going to add in the next records. You only wish that you could make stuff appear like this. And there we have it. I'm the best typer ever. So I have all my tables, all my information there. I want to compare that to my existing information. What's neat is the visitor ID is the actual primary key. And what happens, the primary key can't repeat. I'm going to go ahead and save it. I right-clicked on table 1. I saved it. I put it visitor. Or visit, excuse me. Now what's nice, once again, the primary key is the visit ID. That means that it can't repeat, and it actually orders it numerically by the visit ID. So now I'm going to type in the information. It actually starts off at, first record is 1546, so I'll go ahead and type in the first record. That's out of numerical order, but when I close my table and reopen it again, it will be in numerical order. Notice I'm typing in my information. 11:30, 2015. I type in my reason, which is hypertension. Now you'll also note when I originally typed the first one, which was influenza, my reason column was very small. What I've done is similar in Excel, is I've actually extended the size of that so I can see all the reasons there. Put in my visit date, put in my reason, and this one I believe is a walk-in. So I tab over, I push space, it actually check marks it, indicating it is a walk-in itself. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and close my record, excuse me, my table itself, the database as a whole. What that allows me to do is I'm going to access another table and actually grab information from it. So there's already, when you downloaded your records, excuse me, when you downloaded files be associated with Unit 1, part of those files has something in the tutorial. What we're going to do is we're going to use the data that's been entered in the tutorial to add into our actual table itself. Alright, so there's my items. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to open Access, there's 2013, and I'm going to choose Open Other Files, Open Other Files. Now normally you would have to navigate to where your database is, but in our case it's the Cindy database in the Access 1 tutorial files. So we're going to open that up because it's my recent, I've done it. This is not the first time I've done this. I want to go ahead and open up my appointment table. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the records. The way I go about selecting all the records is I hit the selector at the upper left-hand corner where the rows and the columns meet. There we go. That highlights them all. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it. The way I copy it is using my clipboard tools. Extend it where I can actually see it. I'm going to choose my copy option. There we go. There's my copy option. And then when I close my database itself, it's going to say, do you want access to all this items that you've copied to your clipboard? Now, we do want to say yes, because in fact, we're going to transfer that over to a different table. We're going to transfer that over to our visit table. So I'm going to close this. Yes. Now we're going to open up my Access 1 Chatham right there. So there's my Chatham. Now, I've renamed mine to correctly. It was Chatham. It's supposed to be Chatham. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Enable my content. I'm going to open up my navigation pane so I can open up my visit table. Now you'll notice when I click this, I highlight the entire record. I don't just click within a field, I highlight the entire record. Once I highlight the entire record, I can push paste. It then pastes all the records in. Yes, I do want to paste all 76 records. Yours will say 75. Mine is actually 76. From there, what I do is I can take a look at navigating the data sheet itself. I'm in the table. I have ability to go back and forward in records, go to last record, go to the first record. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now demonstrate that for you. So I click on the first record, I go down here, I click next, it moves to the next record, next record, back, that moves me back one. I can move, I can actually jump down to the very last one, jump to the very first one. And I also have a total new record right there. So I have all my information there. And that concludes the actual first section of Unit 1 up to ACC 30. Next we'll do is part 2 is creating a query.